Have you ever wondered where your thoughts live? Where do they go? And where do they come from? Welcome to Healing Perspectives Podcast with me, Certified Medical Intuitive Tracy Frederick. I can help you shift your perspective by changing the way you think so you can truly change the way you live. Each episode, I focus on real root causes of illness, the thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and spiritual disconnection that affect the human body. You will hear real-life stories of what gets stored in the body and how people have healed. Working alongside my healing guide, Tommy, from the non-physical realm, I explore why certain conditions show up, what they mean, and remind you of the power you have to heal yourself. This show is about medical intuition, healing the mind, body, and spirit by making the connection with clarity, compassion, and practical suggestions you can use in your everyday life. Let's get started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Pat, and I get to take this beautiful ride and journey with the most amazing Tracy Frederick. And bottom line here for this show is this is the first of many shows we're going to do together. You know, it's fascinating to me that as I step along in this journey, I get to meet the most incredible people. And you heard in the introduction a little bit, teeny bit. You know, today we're going to be talking about change, but this is not something that is foreign to Tracy. This is embedded, almost as if it's embedded in her DNA. When you go back and you look at a journey that starts with medical intuition, you're going to hear that. But how does it start? What happens in one's life to spark that, fire, and then discover who you are? Do you go to prayer? Do you look for a way to understand? Do you say yes to what's coming out in the world? Do you look at this now as a new pathway through the eyes of somebody you know, somebody that was struggling with cancer? Do you? The answer is, if you're Tracy, you do. And as a result of that, you have somebody here that's available to work with you, available to help you. Why? Because back in the day, we had someone come out and talk about medical intuition and do it in a way that became so popular, it became almost an everyday word. But here we are today, and we have never, ever needed what Tracy does more than now. That's why we're talking about what she's looking at, healing perspectives, certified medical intuitive. You're going to hear about that. But today's episode, it's all about how we get there from normal to the medical intuitive pivot, the moment everything changed. Are you all ready to be aware of that moment in your own life? Are you ready to feel it, see it, breathe it, taste it, live it? Today's episode is about the journey, the mission, and the big yes that brought Tracy Frederick to us today. Tracy, it's great to have you. First show. Yeah!
Yay! Thank you, Dr. Pat. And thank you to all the listeners that are tuning in. And I am so excited to be here. And I'm so excited to share my wisdom and knowledge that I have gained over the years. And I can't wait to hear the stories of your healing that will take place.
And by the way, you all can give us a shout at 1-800-930-2819 if you have questions, and we'll have other shows where you're going to be able to call in and do a lot more. Let's talk about this, because I mentioned somebody that I thought did enormous groundbreaking in the medical intuitive field, and that's Carolyn Mace. Back in the day, like, I don't know, a long time ago.
And long time ago.
Came out of the closet, so to speak. And she didn't do it alone, because back in the day, in order for us to talk about things like this, you really needed to have some background. And so she did this partnership with a doctor, and out came the book. But since then, we've learned a lot about what we need in the world today to really help us in the complex nature of healing and being human. So how did you step on the pathway to go from wherever you were to become a certified medical intuitive practitioner?
Well, I'd like to say that I was normal, and I still want to believe that I'm normal. But for me, it started off, I've been a hairstylist for 40 years and counting. I still work behind the chair. But that's where I really truly got my start. And that was, I started with my clients, everyone that sat in my chair. They all had stories of their own, and those stories over the years progressed into stories of heartbreak, stories of pain, suffering, illness, and then just the inability to communicate with some of their loved ones, their people in their life, whether it was their children or their parents or their spouses or their partners. And so I just kind of started giving people what I would call advice, but I didn't know where it was coming from. But again, and this was not medical information, this was just, hey, have you thought about talking to your partner this way? Have you thought about handling this situation this way? Well, if you looked at it from another perspective, have you thought about this? And that was always a head turner, and usually the answer was no, I never thought about that. So that's how it kind of started for me in that subtle way. But then eventually it broke free from that and it became much more than that. And I got into medical intuition.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it takes on a life of its own. And you know what's interesting about this? I was thinking about a lot about this recently, is when life takes on and your soul takes on and guides you through the alignment of your purpose, it is extremely difficult to say no. And what I mean by that is you're given so many opportunities, you're guided, you're put in positions. Look at you, right? You got
Yeah.
to use what you know, what you learn in the most beautiful way, in the most safe way. And the unfolding of this is where we are now. Now, you've also written a book. And,
Yes.
part of that book explains the journey. And what I found about this, and you and I talked about this, is it took me a really long time for me to call Jesus my friend. But when I did, it was a realization that anything that I had ever learned in my childhood was about seeing a gateway to guidance and possibilities. Tell us about the book.
Okay.
What made you write that book?
Well, it wasn't me, I can assure you. And exactly what you
Yeah.
said. When you get the call, you just answer. So I
Yeah.
was sitting at my desk. This was back in 2017. I'm sitting at my desk paying bills at my house. And I heard this voice that came in and said, I want you to write a book. And I said, okay, okay. And then I started getting this vision. I saw the hands make the shape of a small square, and I understood that it was going to be a small book. I saw three fingers. I knew that would mean three chapters. And I saw the name of the book, Meet My Friend Jesus. I saw the font. I saw the color of the book. I had all the details. So I said, okay, well, I'm not doing anything else today. Okay, why not? So I changed to a different chair and I just started writing. And then I would come back in the next couple of days and write more and more. And it took a couple of weeks. And then I finished the book. And I kept hearing audibly, put this in the book, put this in the book. Don't make it too religious. It's not about religion. And there's lots of scripture, several scriptures in the book that was quoted to me as well. I was told either the scripture number or the page number to go and look it up. I put all these things into the book, but when the book was finished, I said, okay, I'm done. And I heard another voice, and that voice said, don't write that book. Who do you think you are writing a book about Jesus?
Oh
People are going to
boy.
think you're a Jesus freak. And I said, oh, you're right. I don't know anything about Jesus. Yeah, they're going to think I'm crazy. Okay, I'm not writing the book. And then I put the book away, but I still had a desire to write a book. And so I found a publisher, and she was giving a weekend seminar. Went to the weekend seminar, and that it was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that Friday evening, I go back after the day's work, and I'm just kind of pondering what happened throughout the day. And I heard the voice that asked me to write the book. That same voice came back and said, what about that other book? And I said, I'm not here to write that other book. And I just went on to bed. But all day Saturday, if I didn't hear it 50 times, I kept hearing, well, what about that other book? What about that other book? And through gritted teeth, I said, I'm not here to write that other book. But on Sunday, things changed, and there was an incident that happened. There was a guy that was sharing a story, and he said the title of this article that he was talking about was "Meet My Friend Jesus."
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I'm sorry, it was my friend Jesus. And I said, oh no, you're talking to me, aren't you? And I heard, yep, I'm talking to you. And this girl stands up and she says, sometimes when God asks us to be obedient, we don't have to know why. We don't have to have all the answers. We just need to be obedient. So I was obedient and I said, okay, I'll write the book. And the voice said, if you write this book out of obedience to me, it will set the precedence for the rest of the books you will write. And I said, okay, I'm in. So
Yeah.
I wrote the book and published it. And now, truly, years later, I understand why I was supposed to write the book, because Jesus is my friend. I am supposed to help people understand that he is a friend. He's not someone to be feared. He is someone to have a friendship and a relationship with. But also in my work, Jesus is very much present. And if I had him on a pedestal, which he's told me plenty of times, do not put me on a pedestal because I will fall
Uh-huh.
off. If I had him on this pedestal and this sense of hierarchy, then I couldn't relate to him as a friend, and neither could anyone else. But he is very much, along with my healing guide, which I'm sure we'll get into that story
Yeah.
shortly.
Yeah.
But Jesus is present in a lot of my readings and healing sessions. So he's
Yeah.
my friend. He's your friend. He just wants to hear your side of the story. So
And I
communicate with
love
him.
that. I love that story. I love what you said because, once upon a time, I talked about this earlier today, I think on another show. And, once upon a time, people walked this earth with Jesus as their friend. People walk the earth
Yeah.
with the philosophy of speaking to, speaking with, hearing from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And outside of the realm of an institution telling us whether we could or we couldn't. And, part of that is understanding the gift that is being brought forward. And the part of the gift for you was in discovering uh, I'm a medical intuitive. How did that come about?
Well, so I well, I can talk about my healing guide first. I'm gonna get
Yes,
because that's
yes,
truly how it started.
yeah.
Was I kept having this dream of this little boy, and every time I keep inviting him to come back, he wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't introduce himself. I asked if he needed help. He just wouldn't talk, and he kept coming back and coming back. And then he came back, and he was a little bit older, and he finally told me that his name was Tommy, and he said, "I'm your medical guide." And I said, "Okay, thank you very much. I didn't know I needed one of those." And I just kind of left it at that. But after him coming back so many times, I could sense and feel his energy. And by the way, I knew nothing about energy. I didn't know anything about anything medical. I knew nothing about body parts. I that's so anyway, I had fast forward probably 3 months later. I had a client that came into the hair salon. We became very good friends. I've been doing hair for quite a while, and she tells me that she has breast cancer. And I was so upset and so taken aback. I came home that night and I was praying for her. I was in my bathtub. I was tired. It was a long day. And I'm praying for her. And all of a sudden, I hear Tommy's voice come in. And he says, "It's not in her breast, it's in her
Mm,
chest." And I said,
mm.
"Oh, okay." He says, "But we can heal her." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, watch." And I saw him show me, which he never called it cancer. So I don't know if it was truly cancer or not. My belief is that it's not, but that is and was her diagnosis. But he showed me a little round disc, a little round about the size of a quarter, and it was light gray in color. And I saw it. He coned his fingers, and he started rubbing his fingers back and forth, and he said, and it started to disappear a little bit. And then I saw in my mind's eye, I saw the scarlet letter A, and I heard the words adultery and abortion.
Mm.
And I intuitively knew that all that went together, that the words, the vision, the scarlet letter A, all that tied into what was going on in her chest. So he tells me to come back in the next 2 nights and we're going to do this again. Okay, time noted, 8 p.m. I came back for the next 2 nights. We did the healing again, which I didn't notice what it was. And it shrunk, but it did not go completely away. And then I thought, okay, what am I going to do with this information? I have no clue.
Huh.
And I'm certainly not going to tell my client because she's going to think I'm crazy. So I kind of put it aside, and then about 2 weeks, I knew she was going to have a radical surgery, and she did. I called to check on her 2 weeks post-op, and she said, "Well, I had a very interesting visit today with my doctor. I found out I was misdiagnosed. It wasn't actually in my breast; it was in my chest." And I thought, I could have told you that. And she says, "But the good news is, it must have shrunk. It wasn't as bad as they thought." Great. So I didn't say anything. It took me months to say anything to her. Well, probably not even months, actually weeks, because I started working with her. I finally got enough nerve to tell her what I saw and what I heard. And this was her words to me. She said, "I know exactly what you're talking about." She said, "I was supposed to clear this up, but I didn't. But I'm going to work on it now."
Wow.
And I said, "You don't have to tell me what this is in reference to. I don't need to know, as long as you know." And so from that day forward, I started working with her, sending healing energy. And again, I'm just taking the guidance that I'm given. I knew nothing
Right.
about healing. I just started taking the guidance and passing it along. And we did lots of healings for her, different body parts. Things would come up. I could sense it. I could feel it. I could see it. And that's eventually I heard the word medical intuition. It's like, okay, let me look that up. And I found out it was a real thing. So then that intrigued me. And I truly understood that people could heal from this knowledge and this information that they were holding on, that their
Yeah.
body was holding on to.
Yeah. You know what I love about this? Here's what I love about it. I'm getting more and more aware. I'm like AI. I'm becoming self-aware. But here's what I love about this, because I really have been I've been thinking a lot lately. Not strange thinking, but really visionary thinking, and really asking myself, am I aware or am I aligned with my vision, and am I doing what I need? So that leads to a different conversation with me. And here's the thing. I go back and I love to read scripture. I love to read books. I love to read the Bhagavad Gita. I don't care what it is. I just love these stories.
Yeah.
Well, you have to understand that growing up, I couldn't read or write. I have a little thing. But now I've learned to adapt the way I read because I don't see words. I can't read like a normal person reads. I can't read like praying for her in the bathtub and Tommy comes in. I can't read like that, right? But growing up, you had to read like that to pass test. Once I got past all that, I see these images. And here's what I came to in preparing for today's show. Holy cow, Tracy. People thousands of years ago, didn't have AI. They didn't have books. So, what did they use to move civilization forward? How did the indigenous people know how to make herbs? How you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Because we have had this ability, and for some reason, it's almost like we were persuaded away from using it. So I want to ask you this question. Here you are, and you're working with this woman on a regular basis. How did you take this in for yourself? How did you then say, oh my goodness, look at what just happened here?
Yeah. Well, what happened is I again started to realize that it's all energy, and this energy can move through you. It can stay stuck in you, or it can move through you. And then I started realizing everything that was attached to the energy, the thoughts, the feelings, the things that have never got said, the things that need to be said, the things that need to be let go. And that really changed my perspective on everything,
Mm,
on how I looked at people, how I looked at what the situations that they were going through. And that's when the information started getting more clarity, the
Yeah.
vibrancy, and just by being able to pass on to other people what's actually going on with them changed everything for me.
Yeah. And you then went on. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is you're a certified medical intuitive.
Yes.
So, the journey didn't stop here
Oh no, that was just the
because
beginning.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So once you discovered this, you must have had this light bulb go on, said, I am hungry to know more.
Yeah.
Where did you go from there?
Well, I started looking for books. I ordered every book I could find on medical intuition. I found a weekend course that I could take. I did that. But again, hungry for more. I found a teacher that I did some mentoring sessions with, and then I eventually found the teacher that would certify me. And she certified lots of us, and that was about not quite a year and a half course, and that's where I really learned. So the beauty of that course taught me it was all about self-healing. You cannot heal someone else. You cannot help some. I'm not the healer, but you cannot help someone else heal unless you've done your own work. You're never going to
Yeah.
understand what's holding somebody back, what's bogging somebody down, if it's the same thing that you have and you haven't worked through it. So the beauty of that course taught me to self heal and then how to heal others, how to help others heal themselves. And that was a lot of the eye opening that took place. And as I'm still doing hair as I'm learning all of this. So they were my practice audience and they still
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could give them more information with each module that I learned. Hey, this is what's going on. What about this? Have you thought about this? Have you looked at that? And again, I was getting light bulb moments, but so were my hair clients.
Yeah. And just for the audience, for those of you out there, you're going to hear lots more from Tracy, but, neither she nor I are medical doctors, but somehow we share experience. And that's what the context of this is. Part of it is sharing the journey
Yeah.
and being part. And you know what I love about this? Look at you. You were put in a position in a profession where you're there 8, 10 hours a day, whatever that looks like, and you are with people.
Yeah.
And so look at the audience that you were given to really work this through.
Yeah.
And it's a mutual win. For you, you get to discover who you are and what you're capable of, but also accepting. And I want to talk about that next. It's one thing to discover that we have a gift or a talent, but then there's the whole, am I going to be able to accept this? Am I
Oh
going to be
yeah.
able to take this on? What are people going to think? Did you go
Oh
through any of
yeah.
that?
Oh gosh.
Uh,
I still like to say I have at least one foot in the closet. Maybe even half, maybe even an arm and a leg still in the closet. Yeah, the religious aspects of this, people don't always understand it. And I will say that what people don't understand, they fear. And when they fear it, they want to shy away from it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to be open minded enough to look at all of this. But I can honestly say, it's not from me. It is definitely a gift from God. And, I prayed for years and years and years and years. I prayed to God, give me the wisdom and the knowledge. And if you give me this wisdom and knowledge, I promise not to keep it to myself. And so I feel like I owe this to humanity. I owe this to anyone that wants to listen, that this is a way, this is a healing modality that can help you heal your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions in order for you to live a much better life and a much more productive life and a healthy, long life. So that's really the part that intrigued me the most is healing myself, but helping others to do the same thing that I'm doing for myself. And that is what this show is all about.
and it's so important. I was talking, so Linda and I have a mutual friend who's got this little doggy. And we love this little doggy. I mean, we're not around her much anymore, but we got wind that the little doggy is barely able to use one of her little hind legs. And it's gotten to the point where she's got atrophy in it. And with Linda and I were talking, and I said, that just something is not making sense to me, right? Because Linda used to care for this dog, walk this dog like four times a day, like 2 miles a pop, right?
Yeah.
And so, how does one go? from a little puppy like that to some kind of strange medical condition that Linda and I actually don't believe is true. Now, can't talk to the family, can't be
Right.
like, we don't think that's true.
Right.
But then we get signs. Like I interviewed somebody the other day, totally irrelevant interview, but he was a vet. At one point in time, he was a vet. And he started to talk about how Lyme disease in dogs, out of the blue,
Yeah, of
out
course.
of the blue, Lyme disease in dogs can get into a dog's knee joint and they hide in there and it's okay, long story short. So immediately it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is the Babesia capital of the world here in New Jersey. And I just thought, what if that were it? So I want to ask you this question and talk about it when we come back from break. Sometimes it isn't what we know. Sometimes it could be what we don't think is aligned, when something is just
Yeah.
not making sense.
Right.
And why am I bringing it up? Because you've studied this, you know this is your talent, you work with people, people can work with you from all over the world. And yet, you have to trust yourself just like the indigenous people did,
Yeah.
just like those shamans did.
Yes.
They knew and they saved civilizations. When we come back, how in the world does all this work? And what am I going to do about this little doggy? How do we approach this person and say, maybe your vet's not exactly on point? Before we do that, Tracy, what is the best way for people to find out more about you?
They can go to my website, www.tracyrfrederick.com, or we can shorten it up and just say tracymi.com. And all my information is there. You can reach me, you can email me, you can call me up, however, just contact me.
I love it. The point is to get started with the question, and that's really the opening. When we come back, we're going to talk about how does it work? How does medical intuition work? And how many of you know, you could see it in your child before your child sees it. How do you know? And then what do you do to either avoid it or move forward with it? Stay tuned. We're going to take a short break. Tracy and I will be right back.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
Hey, everybody. Oh, my goodness. We have got talk radio for all of that.
Really, thank you for blazing the trail for women in talk radio and just being such an inspiration to me and so many other people. What you're doing is so awesome. And, you know, without people like you there to like really step out of the box and go for it, I don't know if someone like me would have ever ended up here, but I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I just want to thank you for everything you're doing. You're one of my major inspirations.
Luvology is where your body remembers what your soul never forgot. I work with men and women who are often at the edge of midlife, who are done with surface level living. People who've built the life but still feel numb, who ache for something deeper, more presence, more truth, more touch. We work with what's been silenced: desire, shame, grief, raw pleasure, and the truths your body has been whispering for years. Using ancient practices, modern science, and yummy, delicious sex tools that awaken rather than perform, we reclaim what it means to feel deeply and live turned on from the inside out. This isn't about fixing. This is about remembering. This is conscious hedonism, rooted, real, and alive. If your body's been asking for more, you are in the right place. This is Luvology. Want to go there? Book a compatibility call at gwenumcarsley.com. Let's begin. Hi, I'm Gwenham Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. This is not a show just about sex. This is a show about being raw, real, and awake inside the skin you're in. This is about the mess and magnificence of being human through the gateways of intimacy, eros, and what we rarely tell. It's a reckoning with the real, where breath meets bone, where truth undresses us and gasps seep through the cracks. We're not here to behave. We're here to feel, to experience, to grow and expand, not at the convenience of others. It's for the parts of you that have been silenced, ache, grieve, pulse, remember, and forget. We strip it all back. The shame, the scripts, the performative sex, and performative self. We speak the unspoken. We get intimate, not just with bodies, but with truth, gritty and soul-bearing. We explore what it means to live inside, knowing we are going to die, not as someone you were told to be, but as who you really are beneath it all. Imperfect, hungry, sacred, messy, in skin, in soul. Join me at Skin and Soul, Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to Shanti Mission, a school for the soul. If you're seeking personal transformation, deeper spiritual awareness, sacred music, or the support of a welcoming community, Shanti Mission offers signature workshops and healing programs in a warm and inclusive space.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I get to take this journey with the most incredible Tracy Frederick. And this is Tracy, your medical intuitive. This is the show, Healing Perspectives, with certified medical intuitive Tracy Frederick. Now, the bottom line is, this is an introduction to how a journey starts, what you go through, and what it takes to really embrace this. And know that this is a life purpose. This is something that was given to you. This is a gift. And there is an action for you to take. And part of that, Tracy, is what we're talking about today. But, you know, you went back, you got training, you looked at this, but then you discovered something. And you and I, we're not doctors, we're not nurses, we're not medical professions, and we're not against medicine. Right. That's not what we're saying here. But there is something that transcends centuries of how people work to heal each other and themselves. So can you explain in modern day time, how does medical intuition work? How did it work for you?
Okay. So this is how it works for me is I tune into the energy of the person that I'm reading with their permission. I tune into their energy and I am looking at the inside of their body. I am in their body and I am looking for energy that has congregated around an organ, a muscle, a body part, a limb, somewhere in the body. And what we do know is that when energy congregates around in certain areas of the body, it becomes dense, it becomes heavy. And then what I'm doing is I want to find the spot. Either you can tell me and I'll go straight to it. If you want to save time, tell me where it is. Say, hey, go look at my foot, go look at my lungs, go look at wherever, and I'll go straight to it. Or I can take the time to find it. And then once I find where that energy has congregated, I want to know more about it. I want to know the story. If it's the lungs or if it's a body part, I may talk to that body part and say, hey, lungs, what do you need me to know? What does my client need to know? What's bothering? What's not right? What's out of alignment? And I may hear that audibly. I may get a little movie clip. I may see a scene from your past. And, you know, these little snippets of information, or like I said, little movie clips that I'll see, they tell a story and I want to know the story. And then I take that and I translate it to the person that I'm reading for. And 99.9% of the time they can relate to it. So that's how it works for me. And I think that's how it works for a lot of medical intuitives. We're just tuning into the person's energy that is congregated into the body somewhere. Yeah. And I also like to look at the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects, because that's what affects the health. That's what keeps us unhealthy. So if it's already manifested into physical form, that means it's been there. Not always for a long time, but it could be. It could be something that happened 10 years ago. It could be something that happened a month ago. But that's the physical aspect. But there's also the mental, which are the words that we say to each other, we say to ourselves, emotions, emotions that are expressed or emotions that have not been expressed. And then there's also the component of spiritual disconnection, which means we're not connected to ourselves. We may not be connected to source. We are out of alignment in some way, shape, or form. And so those are the aspects that I'm looking at, and I want to look at all of them to see what's causing my client either pain, whether it's physical, emotional, mental. I want to know. I want to know all the story.
Yeah, and part of this, for example, let me just talk about something specific. You come with somebody and there you are, and they're like, okay, Tracy, I got this back pain. And I have had this back pain and I don't know why I have it, but my back, it's just killing me all the time. It's up. Okay, so back pain has a certain meaning and it has
Yes.
certain spiritual underpinnings too, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
consider all of that.
Yes. We take all that into consideration. So it depends on where in the back you're hurting. It could be the lower back,
Yeah.
which is going to, and I like to say that all of the illnesses and conditions, I like to say they're under a general umbrella. So, but what's going to make it unique is your back pain may not be someone else's back pain. You could hurt in the exact same spot, but the story that I'm going to get for you it will be completely different to someone else. It's going to be very specific. So the umbrella is back pain may have to do with finances. It may have to do with relationships. If it's in your lower back, these are lower back issues. But if it's further up in the back, like it's like in the middle of your back, well, that could possibly be a heart condition. So it just depends on, and that could be unforgiveness in the heart. Unforgiveness in the heart lies in the back of the heart, and I'll see it a lot of times. That's how I see it is in the back of the heart. I may see a bullseye, a target on your back,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of betrayal. When it comes to the upper back, I see a lot of betrayal in in their heart. So again, that's all general umbrellas. Lungs, it's a general umbrella. It's grief. Can it be more than grief? Absolutely. Heart and grief kind of go hand in hand, but generally, a general umbrella for the lungs is going to be grief.
Yeah.
And so I want to go in and I want to talk to those lungs and find out what's grieving you so we can help you heal that.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who happened to Google something the other day because she's just lower back hurts, lower back. And so she looked it up. She said, I looked that up the other day. And that lower back thing's about money and financial things. And at that point, I didn't really know what to say except just listen. But we now know a little bit more. And we've always known that certain parts of our body react to certain life situations, right? And that's part of
Absolutely.
what you do as well, isn't it?
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
look at your life.
Yes, and it's either going to be a belief, it's going to be a patterned way of thinking, it's going to be the stories that you're telling yourself, it can be the stories that you're telling others, it can be the stories that you're not sharing at all. Like in my case with my client that was diagnosed with breast cancer, that was a story when she said, I haven't talked about this in 30 years. You can't have these thoughts go through your mind for 30 years and it not affect the body.
Yeah.
As the book goes, the body keeps the score. The body is going to keep the score. The mind is going to create, but the body is going to experience.
Yeah. I mean, there are things in our lives. Let's talk about this and follow this through a little bit with this story, right? You have to be willing to take a look at your life.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is whether it's my friend in the lower back or it's somebody that's going through something in their body, and what you discover is they had a horrific breakup,
Yeah.
some kind of horrific breakup, you know, about a husband. So how did those kinds of things fit in with other bodily issues, right?
Yes. So one of the ways that we do heal is an instant way to heal is the minute that you change your perspective about your situation, whether it was from the past or whether it was current, but the moment that you choose, and that's the key word here, the
Yeah.
moment you choose to think differently about your situation, you just gave yourself a healing. So I
boy.
want the listeners to understand, the moment you opened your mind to say, I'm going to take a look at this. And I will say, with respect to people with severe illness, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to look at the truth. It's hard to pull the things out from under the rug that you have swept under there because you don't want to deal with it, or it's too painful to deal with. But I'm telling you, if you don't, it's only going to get worse. The body is only going to continue to give you these signals that says, hey, we need to do something. We need to do something or you're going to suffer. You're going to continue to suffer. And that's what happens, Dr. Pat, is people are suffering.
Yeah.
And they are going through these illnesses. And I am not anti-medicine, but medicine is just covering up the root cause. Get to the root cause so you can heal. Hey, use a combination of medicine and medical intuition. Use them both. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's no shame in taking medicine. But if you truly want to heal, you have to be open-minded to say, I need to take a look at something else.
Yeah.
I need to see what's going on.
But isn't that really integrative methods are what or why we're still alive today?
Oh yeah,
As
absolutely.
a species.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the minds, the brains, the intellect, the knowledge, the processing to figure out if I eat that berry, I'm going to get rid of my hives. Somehow that information was, people always wonder, how do we get here? Well, we got here because the people before us used every bit of senses they had
Right.
to survive.
Right. And then we're in this world today where we're still getting those intuitive hits, but we are ignoring them.
Yes, we are.
That's the real problem here is we have learned that I can there's a pill for everything. Do you know there is a pill for everything?
I know it.
But, you're getting the intuitive hits. You're not listening. You're not paying attention. And that's not your fault. But it's time to start tuning into your own body because your body has a lot to say. Your body can tell you exactly what's wrong with you, but you have to tune out the chaos and you have to sit with yourself and you have to listen to what the body wants to tell you. And we're going to teach people how to do that on this show.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
And part of this is you and I have gone through loss.
Yes.
We've lost people.
Yes.
You've lost.
I have.
And it's sad. And yet at the same time, that's the experience you went through that helped you carve out who the person you are today,
Yes.
though,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes, it is. So you're talking about my husband.
Yeah.
My husband, Paul, I was in the middle of medical intuition training, and he was diagnosed with cancer. And he died 6 months from the day of diagnosis to the day of death. And we, as a group, did lots of healings for him. And I had to redefine what a healing really is. Not everyone is going to get a physical healing. As we know, people will die from illness. But what I did come to a much greater understanding, and I am so grateful to know this, is he did receive a mental, emotional, and spiritual healing before he passed away. He did not get a physical healing from his cancer. Because I'm a reader, energy reader, I knew exactly what his cancer was all about. He had cancer in the colon. It had metastasized to his liver. The colon is all about crap that we just can't let go. If we just can't let it go and we're constantly living in that state of what if, or so-and-so did this and they should have done that, or this could have been this way, this could have been that way, why didn't it happen this way? That's crap. That's crap. So when you can't let that stuff go, the energy of that is going to find a body part or an organ to hang on to. And the other thing was it had metastasized to his liver. Well, the liver, the umbrella of liver issues is anger, old anger. And anyone that had a conversation with my husband and anyone that knew him would tell you he never got angry. That's the problem. He never got angry. Anger is a feeling, an emotion that needs to be expressed. And when it's not expressed, it's
Yeah.
the energy, you'll hang on to the energy of it. And that's exactly what he did. He never expressed his anger. So it eventually caught up with him, and I had to learn a lot. For me, I had to learn a lot about grieving. And because I knew that grief settled in the lungs, I was very cognizant of taking very good care of my lungs during my grieving years. I had to remind myself to breathe deep, get that energy out of my system, let it go. Don't hang on to the energy of grief. It's okay to grieve. And that energy is made to come in and to go out. It's not meant to stay with you.
Yeah.
It's meant to be processed.
I'm so glad you brought that up because, a lot of times we have this vision of grief that we get from Hollywood or something,
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, move on. It'll go away.
It'll go away. But grief is multidimensional. I want to mention this to you because of something you just said. You can be grieving the loss of a job. Hello, right?
Yeah.
You could be grieving the loss of your family over arguments and fights, and it's there. And what you're saying is it'll show up in the lungs. It may show up
Yeah.
other places, but it does show up. And
Yeah.
yet, what you do is help people connect the dots.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to make you see what I see, because I'm being given signs, symbols, all these things, but they have to make sense to you. So I'm very careful to just describe what I'm seeing and say, this is what it looks like to me. This is what it feels like to me. This feels like it has some mother energy in it. It feels like it has some father masculine energy in it. Does that make sense to you? And and so whenever I'm just here to help you connect the dots so that you get the picture just as clearly in your own way that I'm getting it. We won't see it exactly the same, but you'll get it. You'll understand it, just like my client did. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, first of all, we're going to have you give some tips. But before we do, the body of work you do is helping people. One of them is offering people ways that they can get themselves some relief. So you have a couple of things that you're providing people today, like the inner closet clean out,
Yes.
for example.
Yes. So that's just that is a way to come in and get a medical intuitive reading and then follow that up with 2 coaching sessions. Because what happens a lot of times is I give you the information and you don't know what to do with it. How do I process this? Okay, so it's great that you know it, but if you can't do anything with it, it doesn't do you any good. So that's where the empowerment coaching sessions come in. We'll do 2 follow-up sessions, but you come in and we talk about what it is that's going on with you. You may not have something physically going on, which is great. That's a great place to start. But I can still sense the energy that may be congregating in your body somewhere. Or sometimes it's just, this is the way I'm feeling and I don't know how to process this, and how can you help me? It's your session, and we are going to go where we need to go in order for you to understand what's going on with you and how to heal. So the closet clean out is a great place to start. Come in, get a reading, and then do these 2 sessions, and we just kind of go from there.
And they can get all this at your website, right, Tracy?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
TracyRFrederick.com.
Okay. Or mitracy.com?
mitracy.com or TracyRFrederick.com. Either of those
right.
2 places will get you there.
We talked about a lot today. And
Yes, we did.
part of this, we're at the point where I think people need some help and tips. For example, the tip
Okay.
you gave me about how to approach my friend about her little doggy,
Yeah.
who both Linda and I intuitively don't believe it's a disjointed, I don't know what they're calling it. So what are some other tips you can give our audience and leave us with today?
Well, the biggest tip I can say is start listening to your body. Start paying attention. Stop ignoring the body, because it is where the information is going to come from. The body is telling you what's wrong. So start tuning in. When you get a little flinch here, a little flinch there, what is that? And connect that to what's happening recently. What was I just thinking before that happened? What have I been thinking in the last 24 hours that brought that on. So that's one of the things. Start tuning into the body, start understanding what the body is trying to tell you, and then, listen to the things that you're telling yourself. Listen to the stories that you're repeating over and over and over again. Because each time you tell the story, the body takes another hit.
Mm.
And, if the story is a good and positive story and it has a great impact and it makes you feel great, tell that story 100,000 times. But if it's a story that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't know why this is happening to me, I don't know why this is the way it is, I don't know why things aren't different, then that's a different kind of story. And so we need to get to the bottom of why you're telling that story instead of another story.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something else that I would recommend.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like in my friend's case, who was telling me about the back pain, in the time that I was chatting with her, one of the stories was I'm never going to get out of debt.
Yeah,
I built up debt for my business, da 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 da. I'm never going to get a COVID gave me a hit, da da da. I'm never going to get out of debt. And that is a mantra that is being repeated. And
absolutely.
so it's not a surprise that her back is getting worse and worse and worse. But we can
Exactly.
turn that around. I mean, there are other things
Absolutely.
she can say, right?
Absolutely. She can, and this is the next tip that I want to give, which is to the moment you choose to see your situation differently, you will heal. So if she could just say to herself, if even if it's only once a day, I am I am going to get out of debt. I am debt free. I am debt free. I no longer have debt. When you start to believe, because she's believing what she's saying on
Yeah.
the negative side. So if you start believing what you say on the positive side, it's going to work.
Yeah, I love that because what you're demonstrating is it can be short. I remember Joel Osteen has a little saying. What he says, I will lend and not borrow.
Yeah.
And just that phrase turns
Yeah.
something like that around. And what you're saying is you can do that at
Yeah.
other different parts and places in your body. For
Absolutely. So here's a quick little example that people can try out for themselves. When you say something like, I'm never going to get out of debt, when you just say those words, feel them in your body.
oh,
Your body will go, your body will tense up. It may do that. But when you say, I am debt free, you see how how
yep,
that changes your demeanor, it changes your attitude. And the body said, yep, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the body just lets that fall away. And that takes practice. If you've repeated that over and over, then yeah, it's you're going to have to combat that with something else.
yeah,
And then you could
yeah.
always get a medical intuitive reading and we can help move some of that energy out, give you a
Well,
better
that's the
understanding.
part of it. I mean, it's one thing to go through your day putting the Band-Aid on, but you really need to get underneath it.
Yeah.
And part of what you shared, I have a friend that has I don't even know what to call them, gastro issues. And
Yeah.
the way you described that today, that was just like, wow, you're right. The
Yeah.
grief, holding on to the past. So how do we let something go? Is that something you could give us a tip on?
Yeah. So it just depends. As again, think of be a little bit more open minded to your situation. Be accepting of your situation. Accept that this is something I need to work on, and it may be that you need to journal it out, write it down, make a list it out. Who is connected to this? Who is connected to me not feeling worthy? Who is connected? Where did I learn that? Where did I learn about money issues and money troubles? Was it in my childhood, or was it that I ran out of money and I had no place to go? Where did it all start? Sometimes you can pinpoint it back, and those things usually come around and they will show themselves back up again. And so look at the many times that it showed back up in your life and what situation were you in, and that's a way to clear it up. But like I said, if you can't and you have a hard time with that, I'm your gal. Give me a
Well,
call. Let me help you.
here's the bottom line for me. I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life, and very few of them have I had any personal, spiritual, otherwise growth by myself. It's just not, I'm not saying it's not possible,
Right.
But why go through it by yourself? Look, if we
Yeah,
were meant to be by ourselves and do everything by ourselves, we'd have been given our own planet. Um,
absolutely.
but here you are offering how to help people with some very deep, deep
Yeah.
rooted things.
Yeah. Some of these things are deep rooted and you can't pinpoint what they are and how they got there. And that may take a little bit more intensive work.
Hmm.
So, those are the people that I am wanting to work with. Those that are, I have an issue, I don't know how to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could be your back. Just and listen to the body when the back says, "Hey, I'm tired and I just need to take a break. I need to sit down because you haven't given me any rest." So, the body's going to tell you what it needs. So just start listening, and follow through.
Now, I want to ask you this. I know we got a couple of minutes left. How do people work with you? How do they get a hold of you? Should they send you an email? What is the
Yes.
best way?
Well, you can go to my website and go to the contact me section. And when you put your information in there, it's going to send an email to me that I answer myself. And, if it's just something short and quick, send me an email and I will definitely handle that. I'll email you back. If it's something that you want to work on, I can do a 15-minute phone consultation to see if we're a fit. We can always schedule that. But also you'll have to contact me to get on my schedule for a reading, but that may be another avenue for you to just go ahead and do a reading and see what comes
Yeah,
up for you and the things that you didn't even think that were bothering you, but they're
I,
there.
I love it. Tracy, what's your personal message? What do you want to leave us with? And thank you so much for today.
Well, thank you and thank everybody for listening. And my personal message for today is you can heal yourself. You are capable of being healed. You are capable of living your best life now. So stop waiting. Let's
I
go.
love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. And for those of you out there, you're going to hear more of Tracy. We're going to continue to do this show series. This is a brand new show. And today you got a little taste of what's possible as we move forward. You're going to hear more about how you can shift, how you can know how to help others do that. But more importantly, we're talking about something that goes so far back in time that without it, we probably wouldn't be here.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you,
Look,
Tracy.
thank you, Dr. Pat. I'm looking forward to connecting with the audience and send me a message. I'll be happy to speak back to you.
All right, everybody. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Healing Perspectives podcast with me, Certified Medical Intuitive Tracy Frederick. I want to invite you to join me every second and fourth Monday on ttrnetwork.com and become part of something bigger. Send healing love to yourself and to others. Think about how you can heal and then take action. And when you do, tell someone so they can heal too. Let's create a ripple effect of healing all over the world. If you'd like my personal guidance, visit my website at mitracy.com.